Hello all, welcome to our channel. So we will talk about Arduino boards here. So this first video is targeted at providing inputs on the Arduino boards. So if you see here, this is basically the Arduino board, and Arduino Uno is one of the model in the Arduino board series. So many microcontroller boards do not support analog inputs. So Arduino Uno provides analog pins where you can connect external analog inputs. You can see here the red mark ones. This is where you can connect the analog pins. So these analog pins are broken out to from the 80 mega 328p to this particular pins. And then if you take any microcontroller in the world, any microcontroller eval kit, so they do provide a power supply options. They do provide the power LEDs on the board. They do provide some LEDs which are connected to GPIO so that you can play around. And definitely there will be some buttons, and also there will be some reset button as well. And apart from this, the other circuitry associated with the microcontroller. But all these basic features must be there, and then Arduino also has these features. So the first thing when you take an Arduino board is to power up, right? So to power up an Arduino, the input range is 6 to 20 volts, and there are two options to power up the Arduino. One is through DC jack and the other one is through USB. So you can see here, if we generally have these adapters, right? AC to DC adapters where you generate the 9 volts. A standard 9 volts DC adapter will work here, and then this is USB type A by B connector where you can connect from your PC. So the programming also happens through this port. And one important point is you can connect both of them at the same time. There is no worry. Um, it has an internal selection circuit on board, which helps to select the supply on its own and power up the board. And this talks about the various circuits on the Arduino Uno board. So you can see here, this is the main microcontroller, 80 mega 328p, and this is the ICSP header. So if you want to program the microcontroller apart from USB port, you can use the ICSP header. This is the in-circuit serial programming header, which is commonly used on microcontrollers for programming. And then there's a power LED. So once you give power to the board, this LED powers up. And as we mentioned, DC jack and USB are the power inputs to this. And once you power up this board, what happens is there is a regulator on the board immediate to this power jack, which converts the input to 5 volts. So that means when you give an input of 6 to 20 volts, so it will be converted down to 5 volts. And then this 5 volts is further converted to 3.3. So if you see the connector here, we have both 5 volts, 3.3 volts routed to this connector. So these two rails are generated from these regulators. And then this is 80 mega 32U2 USB controller. So this is another microcontroller itself, and then this helps to convert the USB signals to UART, and then these UART signals will be routed to 80 mega 328p. So that's how the connections happen. And then this is the crystal, 16 megahertz crystal, which is required for this. And there is a LED, as we mentioned, for evaluation boards. GPIO controlled LEDs is important, so that is there. And then this is a reset button. And we talked about the USB to UART conversion, right? So that is done by another 80 mega chip, which is 80 mega 32U2. And this helps to convert USB to UART, and this 80 mega 32U2 is itself another 8-bit microcontroller. So actually, if you see, some of the boards have 80 mega 16 U2, and the older boards also has 80 mega 8 U2 USB controller. So check out what version of the board you have received. The Arduino Uno R3 boards has 80 mega 32U2, which itself, as we mentioned, is another 8-bit microcontroller. So the output of this Arduino the output of this 80 mega 32U2 is an UART, which is connected to 80 mega 328P, which is the main controller, which we are basically making this Arduino Uno board, right? And then, as we mentioned, so we'll be providing power to this board through this either through this DC jack or the USB connector. So once you provide power to this board, you must have an indication to know whether the board has powered up or not, right? So for that, we have a power on LED, which is called which is basically a green LED. And once you power up the board, and if all the rails are proper, which meant you have the power properly applied to this board. So if you see this board, um, you can see here there are some connectors here which helps to extend the Arduino board. So we will talk about in future videos. You have something called Arduino shields available in the market, where you can plug in directly those boards and extend the functionality of these Arduino Uno boards. So very useful feature, right? It's not just a simple board. Its functionality can be extended using these pins. So very useful board, very popular board among hobbies students. So if you are a beginner in embedded system, and if you are taking up programming, Arduino Uno board is the one to go, and there are many courses available from Arduino which you can pick up from the internet. So if you are starting up with your Arduino board, two things you need. One is have your board, check the version of the board you are using. Is it Arduino Uno R3 or Arduino Uno? Or if you want to use any other Arduino varieties of boards, you can check out the Arduino website for the list of them. And then second thing, you need the power supply jack, or you can also use the USB cable to directly power up the board, and in that case you don't need the jack at all. So very useful board, right? And this has been there for a long time, and we'll be talking about more of these boards in the next videos. Thank you.